Okay, we are here at CHARYBDIS. CHARYBDIS. Who's not supposed to be here? I'd spoken before when we talked about Scylla that CHARYBDIS is part of what is known as the Strait of Scylla and Charybdis. This was this representation of our, ancient Greek Kobayashi Maru, our between a rock and a hard place, no-win scenario moment. Charybdis is said to be a giant, whirlpool, and it will basically destroy anything that gets caught in its path. Now, Odysseus does encounter Charybdis twice, because after Zeus has his wonderful and forever fabulous thunder time moment, Odysseus is obviously the only man left alive on the ship as it's broken essentially into just smithereens, and he rides part of the ship and is being blown about by the squall that Zeus has summoned with his ability and his godly might. And he ends up getting blown back towards the Strait of Charybdis, but he gets caught kind of in Charybdis. And what happens is, because again, we are talking about really high cliff faces, there's a tree that's sort of hanging out over Charybdis. And so he manages to grab onto that and barely hold on to it and wait a second before he's then able to wait for his what's left of his ship to kind of actually make its way where he can swoop himself out, at which point he's then blown out towards Calypso's island. So you have that. And it's mostly just to explain kind of how he gets towards Calypso's island, because it truly blows him off in a different direction. Other than that extra meeting with Charybdis, you could almost skip it. If you were adapting the Odyssey, it's very easy to just not deal with Charybdis a second time. While the geography of the Odyssey is completely unknown, essentially, because a lot of these places, such as Aea and Calypso's island, the Strait of Scylla and Charybdis, we don't really have real-life locations for them, and if you were to ask my grandfather, he would tell you he hates that question in terms of, where are things specifically. It's a question that apparently drives him a little batty, as he thinks it's ultimately not that important. However, if we are talking the esoteric mythological geography, getting from Calypso's island to the Isle of the Phaeacians does not bring you anywhere near the Strait of Scylla and Charybdis. When Hermes tells him the plan and everything else, he doesn't even mention it as something he will have to worry about. So the implication is that we are in a completely different part of the geography from where that is. And I'd also noted the only major thing that really happens to Odysseus in between Calypso's island and the Isle of the Phaeacians is Poseidon showing back up. So I have no idea why we have Charybdis here when it's absolutely guaranteed we have to have Poseidon come back. I mean, 1, you set him up in Act 1, you've got to bring him back. 2, the album cover is Poseidon's trident. So I'm really left in the dark here, because I have no idea. Look, let's just go into it, because I truly have no idea. This is also another very short song, not even 2 minutes and 15 seconds, so really short. But, alright, let's get into Charybdis and see what on earth this is all about.
Must be who Hermes mentioned. A monster here to block my way.
I need to go check the libretto, because Hermes didn't mention... There is no mention of this in Dangerous. At all. And considering Dangerous was also already a montage song. Huh? Either this is a reflection of something getting cut out and Jorge accidentally left this lyric in, so he's meant to be referring to something else, or we have yet another plot hole, which Jorge, 2 within the same saga, is making me wonder what on earth has happened to the writing. Because again, let's be clear, I can have my personal disagreements with the way things are adapted in Epic. But that is not the same as me saying the writing is bad. It just means I disagree with it. That's just a personal opinion. But talking on a slightly more objective writing level, 2 plot and lyric issues in the same saga? This is so glaring, especially when I consider the other sagas. I mean, really, I think the writing up through Thunder Saga, despite any of my disagreements with it, was pretty freaking frickin' tight. Again, I think I advocated mostly for small lyric changes or slightly punching up characters. Beyond that, I was like, okay, I can disagree with how you did this, but that's not me saying I think the writing is a problem. But, I mean, Wisdom Saga, obviously, I have massive disagreements with, and I think it's a case of where nuance to an entire section of the plot was thrown out the window in a way that I found supremely shocking, especially given the nuance that had been added to other situations and characters like Polyphemus and Eurylochus, who got so much nuance added to them, that we then took, like, Ithaca, the suitors, Telemachus, like, that whole situation took nuance and threw it out the window in a way that I found extremely jarring. And now coming into here, I mean, Vengeance Saga, look, Not Sorry for Loving You, I have issues with, not because I obviously had a very emotional reaction to it. I watch plenty of things that can give me emotional reactions and can deal with situations that I have got some personal experience with and I can find, like, a little hard to experience. I had issues with that song more because it simply repeats what we already got across in Love in Paradise, and really well. I think even better in Love in Paradise, like with the way Calypso changes up her tone and the way she sings, and the whole, like, you know, who's Penelope? She's my wife. Anyway, like, you get everything across in that song. And Not Sorry for Loving You just doubles down on it in a way I don't think the musical needed to. You could have moved it along, just make it clear that Odysseus is leaving, Calypso is upset about it, and, like, does not think she's done anything wrong. So, sure, great, move along. And then we come into Dangerous, where you bring in our massive windbag plot hole, and I'm just like, okay, what? Now we're in Charybdis, where I think we're just gonna have him be here, but he says, oh, you're the guy Hermes mentioned. And I'm like, no, he didn't. I just went and checked the lyrics. No, he didn't. Hooray! What happened? What happened? The writing feels so much rougher than the other sagas. The others felt so much more polished, even in a concept album stage. What is happening?
I'd like to hurry up and end this.
Yeah, so would I.
So if you don't have much to say, then oh, bring it on. I'm not dying here, I'm still fighting here. I'm holding on till I see it through, till I've beaten you.
You don't... Okay. Again, Charybdis is a whirlpool. You don't really beat Charybdis, you maybe survive Charybdis. Similar to Scylla, you don't beat Scylla, you survive Scylla, which is again part of why they are in the same strait. There's no winning in that scenario. And Charybdis is obviously a monster that does not speak. Now, traditionally, Scylla is not a monster that speaks either, but we gave Scylla a whole song. It seems in the case of Charybdis, we are not giving Charybdis a voice, other than these kind of feral, animalistic, growling type sounds that are in with the water, which is obviously meant to be, it's a whirlpool. Which is odd, because again, this musical has made a point, with the notable exception of the suitors, of adding nuance and, air quotes, humanizing the characters that are seen as, you know, either monsters or things that block Odysseus' path. Which, again, I'm gonna highlight, where is the nuance? Where has it gone? Because whether or not I agreed with any of the nuance that was added to characters, like, I loved it in Polyphemus, I wasn't sure about it with Circe, but Calypso's basically the same as she was in the Odyssey, with the exception of we just decided to try to explain why she does things in Not Sorry for Loving You in a way that I still think kind of misses the mark. Like, it runs the risk of causing harm beyond what was potentially intended. You also have the suitors, who we added not even added zero nuance to, we subtracted nuance from them. And from that whole situation, we took nuance away from Telemachus. We haven't even done anything with Penelope. She's almost more of an object in this musical than an actual character, because she hasn't shown up, which is kind of glaring when you consider all of the characters. And then now we're doing Charybdis, who it seems we're not even giving a voice. And given how short this song is, I don't think we're going to add a voice to Charybdis. This is so jarring from the rest of the musical. The previous saga and this one are proving really quite jarring in a way that I don't totally understand. It's almost like half the musical went through more rounds of edits than the other half, if that makes sense. Obviously, I don't know really the history of any of the production other than it was pretty much just like one dude that like Jorge did all this. It's just like this clear distinction in the level of relative polish to the storytelling and everything else from pretty much everything up through Thunder Saga. It's just a little odd.
I already know your tactics. When you swallow, you attack with
How do you already know its
tactics?
tactics?
But I see a disadvantage, cause I don't even have to kill you.
Okay, again, you don't kill CHARYBDIS. You can't. It's a whirlpool. Like, you don't kill a whirlpool. Also, how does he already know its tactics? We've never introduced CHARYBDIS. Nobody talked about CHARYBDIS to this point. It does feel like something got yanked out of the musical that was supposed to potentially explain CHARYBDIS. But we don't have that. And I'm really starting to wonder, why do we even have this song?
I just have to avoid you. See if you don't spit it out soon. All that water will destroy you. Oh, bring it on till you're out of breath, till there's nothing left.
That's a nice harmony between guitar and voice.
Till I'm in the clear, till I'm out of here. Oh.
Storm. There's a reason for this. Is it just because it's a sea creature and, you know, Poseidon, god of the sea?
Huh.
There, I see it.
Huh?
The island I've been searching for.
Ithaca or...
Home,
Okay, it's Ithaca.
I've reached it.
Are we saying that CHARYBDIS is right outside Ithaca? If that's the case, amazed Telemachus never mentioned that. Amazing that when we went through Keep Your Friends Close, we didn't deal with CHARYBDIS since it's apparently right off Ithaca. Like, yo, you think a massive whirlpool would have been mentioned? This whole song is yet another oh my god, it's a whole song of a plot hole. And I know the song isn't over, but the fact that we're talking about the fact we reached Ithaca tells me this song is filler. This whole song up to this point of him going, there, I've reached it, the home I've dreamed of, is complete filler. There was no point to that. That entire encounter served nothing. There has to have been a way to segue out Dangerous into this. Because again, Dangerous was, at least canonically, it seems, the montage song of Odysseus dealing with things on the sea to get home. That last bit of tough sailing. We've now brought him to Ithaca, which again also, like, where is Poseidon? Oh god, we're gonna bring Poseidon right off the coast of Ithaca, aren't we? You can make that work. There must be a way you can make that work. I don't know. But there has to have been, I stand by, a way to segue out Dangerous into this part of CHARYBDIS with the solo guitar going, there, I see it, the island, like Hermes dips. Cause everything before, this entire, like, minute and a half is what I would call wasted screen time, or wasted stage time. There was no point to that encounter. It's just there. And just poses more questions, because exists. Oh my god, it's a massive plot whirlpool. Oh dear god. Alright, nope, look, let's finish the song.
My wife and son are past these shores, holding on. I am almost there, my love, don't be scared.
She's not really, she's not. She's doing pretty well.
I am on my way, I'll be there today. Penelope. What?
Hi, Poseidon.
No!
Ooh. It's gotta be.
There you are, coward.
I don't think any of you can see the absolute chills through my body. Okay, look, at this point, I'm probably just gonna have to go straight into this song, which is Get in the Water. Interesting title. Yeah, that entire first, like, 2/3 of that song is unnecessary. I would cut it entirely. Segues, let's transition out Dangerous into him reaching home. I think it actually shows even more this element of Hermes is helping you, but the gods only help you so much, because if we do that and then we segue straight into Poseidon showing up, you think Hermes doesn't know Poseidon is hanging out there? I mean, actually, the gods did at that point, because again, Poseidon finds out about what's going on, and he gets real pissed about it, and he summons up, like, the Sea of Death to destroy the raft that Odysseus is on. I'm assuming that's what this encounter is meant to be. Now, in the Odyssey, literally the only way Odysseus survives this is just, I know, this water nymph sees what's happening, gets curious, and just pops up like, "Mortal, you good? You know what, you're gonna have to get down to your birthday suit, here's the sash." And that's the only reason he survives, is this just magic sash that protects him and keeps him alive to make it barely alive to the Phaeacians. I mean, and we're here in Ithaca, you might as well just have him do that, swim for his life. Unfortunately, we have the wind bag, which should not be here. And the fact that we are repeating the wind bag and repeating Poseidon tells me we're going to use the wind bag to get Odysseus out of a Poseidon situation again. And I'm going to be like, why are we repeating this from Act 1 when 1, we shouldn't, 2, just why? Like, if you'd just given him a magic sash, I've been calling it a sash or a shawl, honestly I can't remember which of the two it is, but I just sort of interchange it. You could have it, so Poseidon, he's gonna show up here, he's going to think that he's killed Odysseus, have Odysseus, as Tiresias said, I see you on the brink of death, I see you draw your final breath. You could have it, so those are two completely separate instances, so I see you on the brink of death, like maybe he's drowning, but he's got this sash, and it manages to just sort of float him up to the surface, not for, like, there are ways to do it. I don't know, guys, I'm spitballing, because I just have a really bad feeling about this wind bag.
I don't want to be upset about a wind bag.
Poseidon is here, and I'm actually, like, nervous that he's here, because I have a feeling it's going to be written in a way I don't like. Again, the quality of the polish of the writing has seemingly decreased a lot from Wisdom Saga, and especially in here. I'm just genuinely shocked by the change. But you know what? We're here. I've already started it. Let's do Get in the Water. Oh, that's cool. The it's, you know, that downward, like, glissando, but it feels very fractured almost. Oh, we are really leaning into almost like horror chords. Ooh, I like this a lot. I mean, obviously, I'm also just let's just say it, I'm happy to see Poseidon again, even if I'm nervous that we're gonna do something writing-wise that makes me go, how dare you do Poseidon dirty.
I've been waiting for this moment, for the perfect time to strike. When you're home so close and you've reached your coast, that's when our paths collide. I've got a reputation, I've got a name to uphold, so I can't go letting you walk, or else the world forgets I'm cold. Now get in the water.
Hold up.
Hold up. Get in the water. Or I'll raise the tide so... Oh my god, I've heard part of this song. Okay, I can maybe be insane, but if this is the song that I think it is, I could have sworn I heard this song somewhere at some point on TikTok, and I remember it because I didn't know what it was from. It was on some video of somebody lip-syncing, but it was a woman. It was a woman who was singing it, which is why I never would have connected it to this if this is Poseidon singing it. And it was a small snippet. Oh my god. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. If I recall, Jorge did, like, open auditions online for this, right? Again, I say I don't know the thing of the production. I know, like, tidbits. So was that, like, an audition someone did? Or just a cover, like, well before, or did it come after this release? Before it released? I swear to god, somebody, am I crazy? It's a woman who sings it on TikTok. It is really good. It's a low tone, too. Like, it might even be in this same key. Like, it was kind of out of, like, lower than my range. I'm more mezzo to soprano. Like, it was a very firm alto. Is this what that's from? Oh, shit. Oh, hell yes. Because I just remember the tone of that was so menacing. I'm backing up. I want to hear him. Okay, I gotta hear him say Get in the Water again. Sorry for that entire random tangent. I was just like, holy crap.
Now get in the water.
Oh my god.
Get in the water.
Oh, that patronizing tone.
Or I'll raise the tide so high, all of Ithaca will die. Get in the water. Wait. Get in the water. Stop this, please.
Bang.
I'll make tidal waves so profound, both your wife and your son will drown. No! Get in the water! Get in the water!
Ooh! Oh, and his backup choir has more higher, almost female voices, where last time he had the Laestrygonians as kind of his background singers, so that's a more male choir. Ooh! Oh my god. This. If he pulls another, all I gotta do is open this bag, I swear to God I'll riot, because this is so menacing. But we're putting Poseidon in such a, oh, this is so good, because I did say it, you brought him in Act 1, you have to bring him back. And in this case, we kind of get an element of this idea that Poseidon sort of plays with his food, if you will. Because as he says in the Odyssey, as he knows that Odysseus, if he reaches the Isle of the Phaeacians, will escape what he calls this noose of pain he's put around his neck. And even when Athena goes to Zeus and is like, have you forgotten Odysseus? Zeus says, no, it's the Earthshaker, Poseidon, who's like continuing this guy's like torment, if you will. Poseidon doesn't necessarily want to kill Odysseus immediately. He wants him to suffer, because ultimately that is the fate that Odysseus bestowed upon Polyphemus. He bestowed upon Polyphemus the sad fate of suffering while alive. So again, Poseidon is sort of playing with his food, but he's doing it very intentionally here, because of what Odysseus did to Polyphemus. These are this continuing blood feud. And again, the whole thing about a blood feud, it's gonna last for a long time. As much as, hey, at this point, it's been 10 years, that does not matter to Poseidon. Also, as I've always made the joke, what's 10 years to a god? It's a lunch break. Not even. That's him just having a glass of wine and going, oh, a decade has passed? Wild. Again, these gods are immortal. They've been around for thousands of years. They'll be around for thousands of years after. Like, oh, yo, Poseidon songs do not miss. Poseidon songs do not miss. Also, him going back up high for get in the water. Like, the way he brings that rasp, I cannot do that. I will not even try. I would rip my vocal cords somehow. Anybody who can sing like that, I have such immense, like, I bow at your feet, because it's so hard to do. And anybody who sings like that just seems to be his normal singing voice. Dude, it's awesome. It's just so good. Oh my god. But now I'm curious, because we are off the coast of Ithaca, the thing about Poseidon is, again, in the Odyssey, he just summons up, as I was jokingly calling it, the Sea of Death. He literally just churns the sea up so it is the most deadly thing you'd ever be unfortunate to be sailing on. And here he's telling him to get in the water. He's telling Odysseus to essentially accept the consequences of your actions, because throughout all of this, I've frequently said that Odysseus's saying I'm going to change and I'm going to be different has felt really performative. And at the end of the day, he has never apologized for Polyphemus. Not even the last time, when Poseidon said, however, if you apologize, I might let you live. Now, I had noted that I was like, this is like giving him a choice, but it's not a choice, because Poseidon has completely clocked Odysseus. Like, he's got Odysseus's number. He understands this guy does not and will not apologize, and will obfuscate, will talk himself in circles to excuse his own behavior. And we're back at this point where Poseidon is saying, you cannot outrun the consequences of your actions. Especially not when you started a blood feud with a god. You're really screwed at that point. And because we've skipped the Isle of the Phaeacians, we've removed that idea that, hey, if Odysseus at least reaches this point, there is a prophecy that says Odysseus, if he reaches the Phaeacians, is at that point totally destined to get home. There is really nothing Poseidon can do. Ultimately, even the gods cannot fight fate. Why the Moirai, the three sisters of fate, Zeus understands and respects that he cannot influence them, he cannot change what they say. That's it. Fate is kind of a done deal. Like, I love this song. It's just on a narrative level, it's leaving me with a lot of questions, because ultimately I don't see where Jorge is going with this. Number one, like, how is Odysseus gonna get out of this one? I swear to God, if we use the wind bag again, I'm gonna scream. Or probably pass out. This is why everyone said I'd have an aneurysm. Probably because I'm thinking myself in circles, but now I've got an even worse feeling. Whatever, I don't care, I just want more Poseidon.
Don't mistake my
Oh, I'd never.
You have lived more than enough. Get in the water. Get in the water.
Oh my god.
I think your son and gouge his eyes. That is unless you choose to die. Get in the water.
That's, oh, take your son and gouge his eyes. Yeah, referencing, that's what you did to my son. You gouged out his eye. And then you left him that way. So Poseidon's saying, I'll do the same thing to you. You didn't kill my son. You left him in permanent physical pain and torment. I'll do the same to your son. We're literally doing an eye for an eye. Oh, there's a hidden dad joke in there, and I both hate and love that. But then, unless you choose to die. That's, I mean, and obviously we have touched a little bit back on that part of the thing with Odysseus and Ithaca and Telemachus and what's happening is this ancient concept of kleos, which is all about honor and legacy. And if Odysseus were to willingly just throw himself into the ocean for the purpose of death, Telemachus is really screwed. And actually, at this point on Ithaca, Telemachus isn't even there. He's off on the mainland. He's gone to Pylos and then to Sparta, and he's on his way back. Meanwhile, the suitors are also plotting to waylay Telemachus on the sea in between the mainland and Ithaca, which is very important. I have a feeling we'll probably have to talk about it more in the Ithaca saga, because I don't want to spend too much time on it here as it doesn't relate to what's happening here. Although, again, if this incident were happening here, this Poseidon and Odysseus incident, the suitors would freaking notice because they're in boats on the water. They'd be like, what the fuck is happening? So again, I guess Telemachus hasn't gone off to the mainland, which is weird. And, or I guess the suitors aren't doing that plot. Again, Ithaca, Wisdom Saga leaves me forever wanting to smash my head into a wall. Telling Odysseus, choose death, destroy your legacy, destroy it for your son and his ability to ascend with little to no contest to your throne. And, like, this really would put Telemachus and ultimately also Penelope in a really bad situation. Or at least a worse situation. Right now, they're in a shit situation. Finding out that he's dead and had died at sea isn't great compared to hearing, oh, Odysseus died in battle with, like, full battle honors. But if they were to then learn the truth that Odysseus willingly flung himself off his little raft to die, oh my god. Yeah, that'd be even worse than just he got caught in a storm and died at sea. Like, oh my god, man, Poseidon, the ruthless king that you are. I really do love Poseidon. God, oh my god, he is truly ruthless. This is ruthlessness. Again, there's a difference between ruthlessness and recklessness. This is ruthless. Because he is hitting Odysseus in all of the points that matter. Oh, that's so good.
Aren't you tired, Poseidon?
No.
It's been 10 years.
Doesn't matter.
How long will this go?
Oh, what the hell?
Hurting from losses, so why not leave this here and just go home?
He's fucking kidding, right?
I can't.
Yeah! He doesn't have to!
Maybe you could learn to forgive.
No!
No.
Thank you!
Ruthlessness is mercy above.
Oh my god.
Exempt.
Do you hear that distortion? It sounds like they took his voice and ran it through a distorter and threw the pitch way down. It's in the back. Ooh, that is so good. But also, maybe you could learn to forgive. What the fuck, Odysseus? This is where I say I have so many questions about what the arc of Odysseus is supposed to be in Epic, because I thought I figured it out, and then you whiplash and about face him in ways like this. Seriously? Does Odysseus seriously think this would work? It's been 10 years. Again, the gods are immortal. This is one of the big things that distinguishes them from humanity, is that they are immortal. Poseidon's been around a long fucking time. What do you think 10 years is to him? It's nothing. Not a thing. That was probably one good party. Maybe you could learn to forgive? Maybe you could learn to fucking apologize. Maybe you could learn to own your fucking actions. Because Odysseus hasn't truly owned his actions or ever fucking apologized for a single thing he did, not even once. Look, everybody seems to really hate Epic's version of Eurylochus. I'd argue he is so much better than the version we get in the Odyssey, but let's give Eurylochus this. Like him or not, when he fucked up with the windbag, he wanted to tell Odysseus on Circe's island, and Odysseus cut him off. And then when he did eventually tell Odysseus, which is after Circe's island in the underworld, so probably one of the first chances he got to actually tell him, he said, I fucked up. He literally said the words, I'm so sorry. He said sorry. He owned his shit. Odysseus has never apologized for not a single thing that he's done. And I'm really concerned, again, that at this point the musical is trying to bend itself over backwards to try and say that Odysseus has changed, when I'm like, he hasn't. There's nothing different about him. At his core, he is the same dude. And unless the point of the musical is to be that ultimately Odysseus stays the same through the musical, at which point, why are we having to do all these mental gymnastics to think he's changed? And this is where I say, I want the writing of the musical to be a little more clear on where it stands in terms of Odysseus as a character. What's his arc? Has he changed at all? Or is he supposed to change? I would like the writing to be a little more clear, because yes, everybody can, discuss and speculate in the comments and we can have our discussions, and that's great. But it would be really nice to know where the musical stands, because sometimes I think it's going one way and then it does stuff where I'm like, okay, well now I feel about-faced and maybe you're trying to say something else. And this whole bit here, I'm like, what are we doing? Am I supposed to take Odysseus seriously when he's all up in his false and meaning falsetto, saying all these things? Or is he trying to fuck with Poseidon? At which point, bruh, are you kidding? Have we learned nothing? I would like to think you maybe learned your lesson to stop fucking with the Olympians in this way. These are your gods. I'm sorry, I am deeply confused. On the other hand, I'm with Poseidon. Maybe you could learn to forgive. No, because he doesn't have to. He doesn't. Even taking out the fact that he is a god, sure, throw that major thing out the window. You blinded his child and didn't give him the honor of at least a death in combat. He doesn't have to forgive you for shit. And then when he confronted you about it, you didn't apologize, and then you just tried to yeet yourself out of there with the windbag. Boy, do not act like you are the victimed party here, because with the exception of the 7 years on Calypso, everything has been a result of your own actions. What are we doing? At this point, I'm starting to root for Poseidon to just drown him. Honestly, at this point, might as well. Because Poseidon's on the right! Again! These drums are great, though. Under the water. Okay. Okay.
You can relax, my friend.
I see you on the brink of death.
I can tell you're getting nervous.
Polites is dead. Eurylochus is dead. Anticlea, his mom. All the rest of his men. This has got to be the I see you on the brink of death. I will say, that's beautiful. I like the choir coming in. Those harmonies are really, really tight. The fact that these are the voices of people who we've found out or have watched die throughout the musical. Again, I kept saying, this is Tiresias, I see you on the brink of death. We can talk briefly about maybe the underworld a bit, in that ghosts do not leave the underworld. Death is pretty final in Greek mythology. You die, you go to the underworld. Now, where in the underworld you go, hey, that's up to the three judges, or what you did in your life. So this is obviously meant to bring this idea, I think, of that last bit of consciousness he's having, and he's thinking of the people that he's lost. It reminds me, actually, of this scene from the 2004 film Troy, which, whatever kind of love-hate thoughts I have on that movie, there is a poignant moment where Brad Pitt's Achilles, is talking about how at night he feels like he dreams, he sees the faces of men who've died and who he's killed. He says they're waiting for me.
At night I see their faces, all the men I've killed. They're standing there on the far bank of the river Styx, waiting for me. They say, welcome, brother.
This idea that ultimately I know what I'm facing. What I'm facing is death. Now, also with Achilles, it's this acknowledgement of he knew if he goes to Troy, he's going to die at Troy. It's the whole tragedy of Achilles going to war Troy. He knows he's walking straight into his doom, but he does it anyway. He gets great kleos from it. But this moment reminds me of that one specific bit of dialogue from that film, because I always thought that was just a poignant bit of dialogue. So we've put Odysseus on the brink of death. While there's elements of this that do remind me of the, we'll call it sort of Poseidon-Odysseus encounter in his journey from Calypso's island to the Isle of the Phaeacians, because we don't have the magic shawl, sash, whatever we want to call it, we're left with the windbag. And I don't know what the fuck we can use the windbag for, because at this point, I would assume Poseidon has fucking dipped. He's no reason to stay. As much as I say he plays with his food, at this point he thinks he's killed Odysseus. I almost don't want to think too hard about what we're going to do with the windbag, because I have a feeling I'm just going to look at it like you... Because I stand by my opinion, you shouldn't have the windbag. You shouldn't be able to use it. We emptied it in Act 1. What in the heck is even in there? Especially if we didn't fill it with the 3 of the 4 winds, as is done in the Odyssey. Like, this bag is... And I know everybody's probably screaming, just go straight on to the next song. You're gonna have to wait for that to be another video. Because I have a feeling, however that shakes out, I'm gonna have so much to talk about, I will have to do it as its own thing. I had honestly not anticipated doing CHARYBDIS and this song as a twofer, but CHARYBDIS was so short, it moved so straight into Get in the Water, and then I had to listen to Get in the Water. So yeah, CHARYBDIS cut that song. I mean, all except for the last, 30 seconds of it. Literally, transition out Dangerous into that last bit of CHARYBDIS where he's reached home, and then just move straight into the Poseidon encounter. And what in the fuck is Odysseus talking about in his whole speaking bit to Poseidon? Quite frankly, who is Odysseus to be talking about forgiveness to the guy whose son he blinded and to whom he's never actually apologized? Odysseus, where the fuck do you get the audacity? Which I get, we've sort of joked about, but truly at this point, the fucking audacity is kind of absurd. And this saga in particular the writing has been, in my opinion, far more questionable. I mean, it and Wisdom Saga. I guess I'll still have to put Wisdom Saga in there, but this one has had 2 plot holes basically in a row with the windbag and CHARYBDIS. And just sort of like the pacing is so odd because we're running out of time to get him to Ithaca and do the slaughter of the suitors. If you want to do it similarly to how it's done in the Odyssey, which frankly I would recommend because it's a true demonstration that you don't get in something like the Iliad of just how fucking sneaky and clever and brutal Odysseus is. Because let's remember, a lot of the story people think of with Odysseus, that of the Trojan horse and the sacking of Troy, is not in the Iliad. And then in the Odyssey, we essentially, again, as I call it, the Trojan horse 2.0, Odysseus disguises himself with the help of Athena, yes, but in this room, if you don't want to have Athena show up, then sure, he just disguises himself, and he infiltrates his own home as a stranger, nearly gets caught out by an old nursemaid, Euryclea, but she helps keep the secret, and he basically sees what's up, and then the challenge with the 12 axes happens, where you gotta shoot through it, he's able to bend his own bow, and then he again strips down basically to his birthday suit, and kills everyone in an orgy of violence. But again, it's a Trojan horse 2.0, but we get to see it on full display and him coming home to do it in his own home. So you're just sitting there going, yes, yes, yes. It's so good. And I'm like, all the time that could be spent in that, truly showing off how clever and sneaky and then how brutal Odysseus is, was spent potentially in this saga in places where I didn't think it needed to be. Calypso's whole song. The entire thing with CHARYBDIS. And now there's one more song left in here, which I don't know what it's gonna be, because now Poseidon thinks he's killed him, and I have so many questions on what is going on with the writing here.